This is the movie where we first meet Valak, who is such an iconic character. Let's do it. Conjuring 2 opens up in 1976, and we meet our main characters, Ed and Lorraine Warren, who of course we know from the previous movie. And they, along with some other paranormal researchers, are investigating the Amityville house. During a seance, Lorraine has this vision where she puts herself in Ronnie DeFeo's shoes as he kills his family. And then in the basement, she has this vision of this terrifying nun. And this nun shows her another vision of Ed being impaled and killed. Now, a little while later, we move to London, England, where we meet the Hodgson family. So the family consists of a single mom, Peggy, along with 4 children, one of which is Janet. One day, Janet brings home this Ouija board that she made at school with one of her friends that they had played with. And weird shit immediately starts happening in the house, specifically to Janet. At first, Peggy doesn't believe it until she straight up sees one of the girls' dressers fly across the room one night. And Janet starts talking to the spirit of this elderly man who used to live in the house. Peggy calls the cops to her house one night because of the weird things that are going on, and they witness the paranormal activity as well. And eventually the media picks up on it and send people to the house to investigate. When they come to the house, they interview Janet, and during this interview, she becomes possessed by the spirit of this old man whose name turns out to be Bill Watkins. And he reveals that he lived in the house and literally died in a chair that's still sitting in the living room. So at this point, they can't really tell whether this is real, whether this is a hoax, so of course they call on Ed and Lorraine Warren as the experts. Now, Lorraine is hesitant about going because of the vision that she saw of Ed's death. And one day in her own home, she has a vision of the nun that she saw in the Amityville house. As she's having this vision, we see that she's aggressively carving something into her Bible, but eventually she snaps out of it as she's being attacked by this nun in her vision. So eventually Ed convinces her to go, and the two of them set off for London. So they start their investigation, and at first everything seems very real. And one day they come in to find that the entity has completely destroyed the kitchen. But then the investigators that were already there show Ed and Lorraine footage. And this footage is of a hidden camera showing Janet doing the damage herself. So this proves that she's lying and she's faking the whole possession for attention. So Ed and Lorraine leave thinking that there's nothing else to investigate. But then as they're on the train, they listen to these tapes that they had taken of Janet when she was possessed by Bill Watkins. And when they listen to them in a different order, they discover that Bill is saying, "Help me, it won't let me go." Which shows them that Bill Watkins is not the evil one here and he's being manipulated by a demon. And we learn that that same demon told Janet to destroy the kitchen so the Warrens would think it was fake and leave, or else it would kill her entire family. And Lorraine puts together that the true demon that is causing all of this is the nun that she's been seeing. So Ed and Lorraine return to the house and find everything in absolute fucking shambles because the demon is now attacking the family. Eventually, Ed is able to get inside the house where he finds Janet in her bedroom standing at this glass window that bursts open. And being under the control of the demon, she is ready to jump out the window. Lightning strikes the tree that is underneath the window, which causes it to become this sharp stump. And that's what Lorraine had seen Ed being impaled on in that vision. During the chaos, Lorraine has the realization that when she had that vision of the nun in her house, she wrote something in her Bible. So she runs to get her Bible and opens it, and sure enough discovers that she wrote down the demon's name, which is Valak. And by addressing the demon by its name, that gives you power over it. So Janet, still being under the demon's control, goes to jump out the window, but Ed manages to grab her. But then he starts to slip out the window towards the tree stump that Lorraine had that vision of him dying on. So Lorraine rushes into the room where she comes face to face with the demon itself. And she addresses it by its name, Valak. And by addressing it by name, she is able to condemn the demon back to hell. And as she does that and Ed is about to let go, Lorraine manages to grab him and save both him and Janet. So everybody's safe and Ed and Lorraine return home. And we see Ed go into the artifact room where he places this Crooked Man toy box. We had seen earlier that this was a toy that belonged to the youngest son in the family and it was possessed, and showed the boy the Crooked Man, which was just another form of the demon. So Ed places this on the shelf right next to the music box from the first Conjuring, and the movie ends.